I'm saying, did he do it? Did he do it? Did he do it? Did he do it? Did he do it?
I think we can all agree that Puff Daddy is 50 Cent's favorite target.
When you really break it down, you've been out here a long time. You know he loves me.
The whole mantra, can't stop, won't stop, is like, you gotta be relentless. You gotta have a bit of crazy. You can't take no for an answer. You gotta make it happen.
Cause P. Diddy be wanting the party. And you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no.
Yo, 50 Cent had to be the only rapper in the business who's not on those reported Diddy freak-off records, since everyone else has gone into hiding while 50 continues to openly taunt him. But 50 is not just going after Diddy. He now also wants to know, where is Jay-Z? Now, if you're unclear about what Jay has to do with Diddy's properties were raided by the feds, well, word on the street is that Jay-Z was not only aware of Diddy's alleged misdeeds, but may have even partaken in something similar. It's no secret that Diddy and Jay were close friends for decades, and Jay frequently publicly lauded Diddy. But once Cassie delivered her bombshell lawsuit back in November, Jay-Z suddenly began behaving like he never knew Diddy.
The new lawsuit coming with Jay, the part with Jay. I go, oh shoot, like
To us, black excellence, right?
that had to be there.
We getting tighter, you know what I'm saying? And united we stand, and ain't nothing else.
It was even rumored that he canceled his annual Rock Nation brunch this year since Diddy used to be a frequent visitor, and he didn't want to have to explain to him why he was disinvited. But is there any proof behind these rumors regarding Jay-Z being connected in Diddy's alleged illegal operation? And is 50 Cent implying that he knows anything more about Jay and Diddy's friendship? Let's break it down.
It's 2020, y'all. It's different than when it was 2016. You know, the game has been elevated. As we can tell, there's no expense being spared. We had a black billionaire's lunch.
So, we all know 50 Cent is Diddy's biggest rival in the industry, and also the only one who's not afraid to call him out publicly. I mean, 50 has been doing this for literally years, long before Diddy got into the situation he's now in. But there's another guy on 50's radar, none other than Diddy's now former BFF, Jay-Z. Now, some folks are thinking 50 is mocking Jay because they had issues back in the day, and he's just being extra petty, the only way 50 knows how to be. But see, it's not only 50 who's questioned why Jay-Z kept so close to Diddy all these years. Multiple sources have already suggested that this is an instance where birds of a feather flock together. And when you take into mind that before Diddy, Jay's other BFF was none other than Mr. Robert Kelly, well, you can't help but wonder, how does Jay select his friends? Also, remember how Dame Dash stated that Jay-Z knew what R. Kelly did to Aaliyah, and he still went and made a collaborative album with him?
Yeah.
It already destroyed, but then years later they tried to do the tour. The best. Yeah, but it still didn't work out. But you notice I wasn't a part of any of that, and the karma happens. But the thing I didn't understand is I was like, I know I'm not with that. And because of the moral challenge and him choosing one way, I knew morally we weren't the same.
How many betrayals we talked about with Jay? This ain't the first one, but this the first one we talking about because the only one affected us.
6.
I mean, that fact alone tells much about Jay's character. But then Jaguar Wright joined the discussion, and she went a step further, alleging that the reason Jay-Z stood by R. Kelly's side was because he was guilty of the same crimes.
And he was working
years. Jay-Z is setting Diddy up. Why is everyone having such a hard time? He ain't doing shit different. He lined up D. Haven, stole his life and identity. He lined up Big L, stole his life and identity. He lined up Dame Dash, stole his life, identity, and took his love. Lined up R. Kelly. He wants to be the one.
Yeah, shout out D. Haven. He actually hit us up, wanted to tell this story.
You need to talk to D. Haven.
So now that it appears like it's really over for Jay-Z's longtime pal Diddy, people are understandably questioning how much Jay-Z knew about Diddy's secret life and his alleged horrific acts. As you all know by now, the authorities searched Diddy's 2 residences in Miami and LA earlier this week, and they supposedly grabbed boxes and bags full of evidence.
Now, I bet you want to know why Jay-Z and Beyonce's name keep popping up around the whole Diddy thing. Well, that's why I'm here. Now, first thing you gotta know is when somebody like Diddy gets taken down, things always start out as a rumor. Diddy has had rumors floating around for like decades. Well, Jay-Z had a problem. He right there in the corner, by the way. Jay-Z has had a few rumors himself, but more like speculation. People see Jay-Z in a picture of R. Kelly, they're like, I guess they both make music. Then Jay-Z with Harvey Weinstein. People are like, I guess they both do business. Then, of course, Jay-Z with Diddy. Now, hold on. Here's the thing. Jay-Z and Diddy go way back. Like back to the days when they were both coming up. So you could say they might just have a lot of respect for each other. But on the other hand, people are like, well, if you've known each other that long, Jay-Z, you must have known what Diddy was on. But Jay-Z has always had a history of keeping quiet, which brings us to Aaliyah. Now, I'm sure y'all remember R. Kelly dated Aaliyah when she literally needed her parents' permission slip to get married. Now, if I remember correctly, her parents got the permission slip and said, marry who? And that's how this whole thing got exposed. Now, a lot of people in the industry actually knew about this relationship because they would work with R. Kelly. They would be in the studio with R. Kelly. Now, according to Dame Dash, who listened closely, was Jay-Z's first business partner and also dated Aaliyah when she was 21. He said this is how it went. He said he didn't want anything to do with R. Kelly because everyone knew what type of timing R. Kelly was on. He looks over at Jay-Z and Jay-Z's out here creating collab albums with R. Kelly. But then he saw why. For starters, everyone had a crush on Aaliyah. People were waiting down the clock until she turned 18. But Jay-Z decided to get a head start. Now, there was absolutely no proof that Jay-Z went after Aaliyah, but people were like, let me see another picture. But apparently Jay-Z wasn't successful and Dame Dash started dating her when she was 21. Now, what does this all have to do with Diddy? It's the secrets. It's the, like what happened to Diddy, making people wonder. Nas came out, well, he technically didn't come out and say this, but while he was having his legendary beef with Jay-Z, he's doing a radio interview and he's saying, it's weird that Jay-Z be working with people that need a permission slip to marry somebody, R. Kelly. But again, rumors, kind of like what was happening to Diddy. But then this lawyer comes out and says, boy, do I got some news for y'all. And here's where it starts to get wicked. Now, he's going after Diddy. Specifically, listen closely, anyone that Diddy might have done something to, or anyone who's watched Diddy do some of these things and stayed silent about it. Now, first of all, the lawyer's taking calls from anyone. So theoretically, anyone could just call trying to get some money saying Diddy did this to me, Diddy should pay me. But in the lawyer's defense, I'm sure he's looking for people with proof. Honestly, I don't know him. He could be trash. Anyway, what he said next is what got people interested. He said, and I got some names. He said some wild names. Some names that will blow your mind. He's selling this. He's saying, yo, y'all finna wild out when you hear these names. I'm not gonna say it now, but y'all finna wild out. So people are like, Now, in Beyonce's case, it's just because she's married to Jay-Z and she's been in the industry for like 20 years. People are like, you must have known something. But that's all people have. Now, in Jay-Z's defense, he's famously all about the money. As far as we've seen, he's always been around Diddy for like a public event or when money's involved.
Diddy has finally broken his silence on the raid, accusing the FBI of employing excessive force. He also refuted all claims made against him and lamented about being the victim of a witch hunt. In a statement to E! News, Diddy's attorney, Aaron Dyer, said, "Yesterday, there was a gross overuse of military-level force as search warrants were executed at Mr. Combs's residences. There is no reason for the extraordinary display of force and hostility demonstrated by officials, or the way his children and staff were treated." Diddy's lawyer also stated that Diddy had previously talked to and cooperated with police, and underlined that no members of the Combs family had been detained. This unprecedented ambush, paired with an advanced coordinated media presence, leads to a premature rush to judgment of Mr. Combs, and is nothing more than a witch hunt based on meritless accusations made in civil lawsuits, the lawyer continued. There has been no finding of criminal or civil liability with any of these allegations. Mr. Combs is innocent and will continue to fight every single day to clear his name. Now, I realize this lawyer is just doing his job, but it's sort of absurd to label this scenario a witch hunt. There were 2 extremely methodical and exact raids on Diddy's houses on both coasts. And you know the feds don't come after someone like this unless they have hella probable cause. To even acquire a search warrant for not 1 but 2 houses shows they've been studying Diddy for a long time and had enough evidence to bring to a court. And despite that, the fact that Diddy's properties were searched by Homeland Security, not the FBI or the DEA, further demonstrates that this is something big. Homeland Security doesn't simply raid houses, so there's some real mess and significant proof behind this.
Jay-Z's career, you can look at that and say the association to Beyonce is when he started to receive the 16, 17 Grammys since he's been with Beyonce, right? And you go, prior to that, one.
I'm not part of the go along to get along gang, so to speak. So, I'm an outsider. And so, I'm not part of the club.
Beyonce and Jay-Z will do anything to destroy anyone who speaks out against them.
But speaking of proof, some unsubstantiated claims are now beginning to spread that Diddy's high-profile business associates, including Jay-Z, might be questioned about this claimed evidence. And it appears like 50 Cent has something to say about it. The day after Diddy's mansions were searched, 50 jumped on IG to upload a picture of Jay-Z on a milk carton, hinting that there's something strange about Jay staying MIA since this entire Diddy battle went down. 50 said in the caption, "Anybody seen Jay? LOL." Puff claimed he ain't answering his phone. LOL. But 50 didn't stop there. He subsequently got back on IG to post another shot of Jay-Z waving and said, "Here's Jay-Z last reported sighting, waving at Puffy's jet. LOL. But 50 isn't the only one presumably indicating that Jay-Z was complicit in Diddy's alleged RICO scheme. One ex-user said, "Diddy is just the tip of the iceberg for the sex trafficking and money laundering scheme by the elites. Jay-Z is next. Just watch and grab your Bibles. It's going to become biblical." And then another individual added, "Jay-Z's got multiple projects with R. Kelly and is good friends with Diddy. Where there's smoke, there's always fire." But you already know the Bayhive is trying hard to detract from this topic, and they're now slamming 50 for apparently being envious of Jay-Z. One Bayhive user went off on individuals bringing up the Carters and their link to Diddy, saying, "It's weird that y'all don't like Beyonce so much that y'all are trying to tie her to something she has nothing to do with. First it was folks clamoring for her to be on the Epstein list, and now y'all want her tied to Diddy in some manner. Imagine hating someone for no reason so severely that you attempt to connect her to wicked individuals simply to get rid of her, and it ain't happening. But see, we don't actually have to try to connect Beyonce and Jay-Z to evil people. I mean, there are a ton of images out there of the Carters at Diddy's parties and other industry events. Here's Queen Bey posing with Diddy's former male servant/concubine Farnsworth Bentley at the CFDA Fashion Awards in 2004. And then here's Diddy at the same event, chatting to Beyonce with his hand on her upper back. Apparently, Diddy was even close to Mama Tina, and we don't have to conjecture about Diddy feeling like part of the Carter family. I mean, we heard it right from the horse's mouth when Diddy claimed only 2 people are allowed to call him by his real name: his mom Janice and Jay-Z. As for Jay's thoughts on Diddy, he openly lauded him as recently as 2022. When BET handed Diddy the Lifetime Achievement Award, Jay taped a message for him, telling about how Diddy taught him not to take no for an answer in the boardroom and established the model for aspiring music moguls.
The whole mantra, can't stop, won't stop, is like, you gotta be relentless. You gotta have a bit of crazy. You can't take no for an answer. You gotta make it happen. He embodies that. Here's this guy from neighborhood similar to where I grown up that made it to these unreachable heights. Puff was the first one that came through and made us feel like, it was us. It was ghetto fabulous. We took our rightful place at the tables in the boardrooms and the fashion shows, and we arrived. That impact obviously had effect on all of us and let us carve our own space. And it was like, oh, we could be in these spaces without assimilating. We're gonna be in these spaces as ourselves. To change someone's mindset and take the limits off of kids' dreams. You dream about things, when you see it done, then that dream becomes attainable. Then it's something that you can reach for. It just feels like the ultimate coach. Culture, you can't measure that. It's like you get in there and he'll make you believe that you can do anything.
So I know when I see it, so I know what to avoid. Because you're trying to sacrifice your and you're not studying. God told us to read and be knowledgeable. So when I see Jay-Z, what does this mean? What does this mean? What does this mean? You're not no gang member. You got checkerboard floors. You got skull and bones. What does this mean?
Dame Dash is back with more startling facts on Jay-Z's shady financial operations and his weird link with cultural vulture Lyor Cohen. But hang on to your seats because it sounds like Jay has finally reached his breaking point with Dame repeatedly dragging his reputation through the mud, and he's ready to spill the tea on his side of the tale. But Dame isn't letting Jay quiet him either. He's coming in hot with even more shocking allegations about how Jay-Z didn't just throw him under the bus, but how he and his mentor, Lyor Cohen, reportedly stomped over countless black musicians to push their way to the top of the music business. Whew, kid, there's a lot to unpack here, so let's go right in and spill the tea.
A lot of people that have been, maybe mistreated by him are scared to speak up on what he did.
Facts.
I'm just not. So if I hit a pack, I hit him with some work, and he runs off on me, until I get my money back, I don't care if it's 20 years later, I'm never gonna have too many complimentary things to say about that situation.
So, you know how Dame Dash and Jay-Z have been on the outs for ages? Well, according to Dame, it all comes down to Jay-Z aligning himself with guys like Lyor Cohen, who profit off black culture while simultaneously damaging black musicians. But Jay is now out here alleging that Dame attempted to undercut him and was doing poor business, so he had to step in and clean up the mess. But let's backtrack to the beginning. The narrative takes out in 1995, when Jay was hustling, selling CDs out of his vehicle, hoping to find someone to give him a shot. After encountering rejection from multiple large companies, Jay, along with his mates Dame Dash, and Kareem Biggs Burke, decided to take things into their own hands and started their own independent company, Roc-A-Fella Records. They immediately sealed down a distribution agreement with Priority Records, and in 1996, Jay issued his first album, Reasonable Doubt. In the following years, Roc-A-Fella, with Jay as its primary act, teamed up with some of the hottest producers of the moment, including Swizz Beatz, Timbaland, The 45 King, and Jermaine Dupri. But in 2000, Jay wanted to mix his sound up and brought in a new lineup of producers, including Kanye West, The Neptunes, and Just Blaze. While Jay remained the face of Roc-A-Fella, he and Dame started signing fresh talent like Cam'ron, Freeway, and a gang of teenage Philly rappers who subsequently formed the rap group State Property. By 2002, murmurs began spreading about some animosity between Jay and Dame, especially when Dame purportedly sought to designate Cam'ron as vice president of Roc-A-Fella while Jay was away on vacation. Although both sides first denied any rivalry, sources said Jay was disgruntled by Dame's public presence, while Dame thought Jay was growing too distant. Here's how one of the original Roc-A-Fella performers, Beanie Sigel, broke it down.
Conversations that me and Jay had, Dame started being famous. The camera, he fell victim to the camera. You liable to say anything, you could beat anybody, or I think if Dame would have played the role as Kareem Burks did, Kareem, and just played the background and just handled the business correctly, maybe Roc-A-Fella still would be, the force that we was. And then, but on the second hand, I think Jay was growing. And in my eyes, at a certain point in time, I just think he felt, it's time for me to go ahead and do my own thing. We made enough money together.
Anyway, by 2004, rumors about Roc-A-Fella closing reached a boiling pitch, but Dame continued putting them down. He told MTV at the time, "All that is paperwork. We'll never split up. It's Roc-A-Fella for life. I would never transmit the torch or abandon any of my artists. I look at them as my family, almost like my children. I would never leave them with someone else." But little did Dame know, Jay had already determined the torch would be transferred anyway. He delivered a bombshell that he would replace Lyor Cohen as the head of Def Jam, and that Def Jam will purchase the other half of Roc-A-Fella. See, Jay, Dame, and Biggs had already sold half of Roc-A-Fella to Def Jam back in 1997 for a rumored $1.5 million. Then, 7 years later in 2004, Def Jam purchased the other half for $10 million and named Jay as CEO in an agreement that enabled him to continue operating Roc-A-Fella.
You know, the way I would look at it, if you could compare him to like a character now, I'd say he's like the Penguin. He's like ruthless like that with his friends.
So Jay-Z's alleged son's paternity case is heating back up in court because his godmother has filed a new motion. She's claiming that vital court pages were missing in earlier rulings and demanding that the case be reopened after years of being shut down.
Crazy to me. You know, I'm not asking for no money or nothing. I'm not asking for no handouts or nothing like that. I work every day. I take care of my family. Only thing I'm asking for, if it's not the truth and there's nothing wrong with the Supreme Court, like, you know, just get it over with.
Yeah. I'm with Jay-Z's daughter. My name is Letitia Mason from Cambridge, Maryland. My mom, her name is Lisa Mason. She has multiple sclerosis. I've been hearing that Jay-Z was my father all my life. There's no way that he can deny anything.
Now you've got to hand it to Jay. That was a really savvy business move. Jay additionally subsequently stated in an interview with XXL that he had offered to take down the job at Def Jam and give up all his masters in return for only one album, his first, Reasonable Doubt. So I was like, let me get Reasonable Doubt and I'll give up my masters, Jay remarked. I'll give up Roc-A-Fella, I'll give up president and CEO of Def Jam, everything. Just give me my kid to hang on to so 10 years down the road I can look back and know I got something. I'm not empty-handed, and I was the one being promised everything. I think that was more than fair, and when it was turned down, I had to make a decision. I'll leave it for the people to say what decision they would have taken. That's about it. I don't really want to speak about Dame or Biggs. I don't have nothing bad to say about them. We're all bosses, but there's only one presidential suite, Jay continued. If we in a hotel, somebody's got to move to another hotel. But when reached for comment, Damon and Biggs told Exil they were dissatisfied that Jay preserved the Roc-A-Fella moniker, and they said he sought to use it as a negotiating tool to get full control of the Reasonable Doubt Masters, the one album they released before joining with Def Jam. After they sold their remaining interests in Roc-A-Fella, Damon and Biggs formed their own labels.
Messing up your money.
You know, like if I'm trying to sell something, him and his lawyers, Alex Shapiro, putting a false lawsuit on me, like, you know, like that, devaluing anything that I have or trying to sell. But, you know, or even down to like, we were selling Rockware, right, for like $400 million or whatever. I was gonna make $40 million. And right before Tommy Hilfiger signs the papers, he makes an announcement saying that he's not f***ing with Rockware, that he's only f***ing with S. Carter. The whole shit. And I just feel like he did that only because I was going to make $40 million. Like, he just couldn't see, like, they get so mad if I'm going to make money off them. Like, every time I could have made a really big check, he's always stepped in and intentionally f***ed it up. Listen, don't ask me, ask the rest of the industry. Like, you know, the way I would look at it, like, if you could compare him to like a character now, I'd say he's like the Penguin. He's like ruthless like that with his friends or people that help him. At least that's how.
The turmoil didn't stop there, since every Roc-A-Fella musician had to select which label they wanted to join, and some of them began openly dissing Jay. Take Cam'ron, for example. He wasted no time siding with Dame's company, Dash Music Group, and claimed that Jay prohibited him from taking on the job of vice president. But that's not all. In 2005, Cam'ron was wounded during a failed carjacking, and he subsequently said in the song, "Got to Love It," featuring Max B, that he observed the gunman put up Jay's distinctive diamond hand gesture before shooting. First, you took Roc-A-Fella from Dame. Second, you stole Kanye from Dame. Third, you stole Roc-A-Ware from Dame. Fourth, I saw him toss that diamond up before they fired, Cam'ron rapped. As for Dame, he obviously felt some sort of way about Jay's devious business actions, since Jay constantly spoke about how Roc-A-Fella was family, and Dame genuinely believed him. But there's another reason Dame thought Jay violated the family. See, Dame felt Jay had plotted with cultural vulture Lyor Cohen and enabled him to come between them. Dame subsequently alleged that individuals like Lyor Cohen frequently use the divide and conquer tactic to spark animosity amongst black moguls and turn them against each other, because the last thing they want is for all black moguls and CEOs to unify and work together.
My beef was with Lyor because I think he's a fake CEO and I think he's fronting on my culture, but he can't front on anybody else from the violence and not bringing, like, you know what I mean? It was like they have people that their job is to create beef so that they can monetize it. Pause.
In another interview, Dame reported that Lyor attempted to turn him against a fellow black musician, and he also claimed that Lyor habitually degraded black individuals within Roc-A-Fella.
When I first got with Lyor, the first thing he did was try to make me have a beef with another black person on his behalf. And I was like, he said, you with me, right? If you with me, then you got to go to war with me. Oh, I got a lot of beefs on the street. You going to go to war with me? Let's not do that. So there would be times that he would be saying things, and like I'd be with like Beanie Siegel or something, and he'd say something that was so offensive, unknowing, unconsciously, just demeaning. And Beanie would be ready to knock him out, and I'd have to be like, I'd have to bark on him so Beanie didn't do nothing to him. You understand? I'd be like, I got it, don't worry. Like, he was just an offensive person. What he couldn't understand about me is that I could have white people working for me. Because he thinks black people can only have black people working for him. So when I would walk in and have anybody white in my staff, he'd go to the side and go, are you okay? Let me know if they're treating you wrong. Blink twice. I swear to God he did that.
Believe it or not, that's not even the worst thing. When Lyor appeared on The Breakfast Club in 2018, he flat out acknowledged that he actively signed musicians to promote drug culture, even though he was aware of the horrific consequences of the opioid epidemic. Charlemagne then brought up DMX, and Lyor stated he was very upset about DMX's drug use issues. But at the same time, he said he's had a company to manage. In other words, profit comes before everything. And as you watch, take note to how arrogant and condescending Lyor got when Charlemagne addressed him.
Had a real bad drug problem, DMX.
I'm so sad. DMX, I got a business to run.
You're gonna make Dame Dash take this clip and call you a culture vulture.
When Lyor's statements went viral, Dame shot back on Instagram, arguing that Lyor had proven his whole thesis. Dame responded, "Thanks for this, Lyor Cohen, for proving my point. In true cultural vulture style, they earn money from us and then attempt to obliterate our genuine history and pretend if the real ones never existed. He pays his debts at the cost of us." Now, as for Jay-Z, he's still BFFs with Lyor to this day, and he frequently refers to him as his mentor.